So I'm sitting in my backyard, got the fire pit going, it's nice and warm. The fire almost went out a few minutes ago. I was trying to shift the logs around and it just didn't work. And now it's going strong. But a few minutes ago it was literally just some embers and I shifted the logs a little too hard and it didn't want to go anymore, and it was just a pile of smoke and some hot coals, and I had to put a few small pieces of kindling back in just to jumpstart it again. Kind of reminds me of when I was 31, when my boy life had finally reached its end, and in order to re-jump my life and restart my life, I had to reinvest and start from anew, and that's hard for some people sometimes. A perfect example of that is last Friday at work. A little Filipino gal who I thought was kind of shady. Gave her 2 weeks, and last Friday was her last day, and all these coworkers wanted to take her out to happy hour and celebrate her 3 years or whatever at the company. And I just remember when she first hired in, I thought she was the sweetest thing. She always smiled and waved at me in the hallway and said hi. And it turned out it was all fucking phony. Because there were a bunch of guys who I did trust at work that came up to me and said, hey, you know, when you're not around in the cafeteria, she talks to all the guys and girls about how you're a guy in a dress and you're a trans woman. And she talks a bunch of shit. And some of us defended you and said, you know, why don't you get to know Natalie before you trash her? But yet she would still do the two-faced bullshit and smile at me in the hallway, but talk shit about me in the cafeteria when I wasn't around. Which is kind of annoying. I mean, I knew what she was saying behind my back, but I never confronted her about it. So on Friday, before everybody went to happy hour, she went around and did her rounds and talked to all the managers and shook their hands with her phony bullshit smile and said, thank you for the 3 years here and, you know, helping my career along, and I hope our paths cross in the future and all that yada yada bullshit, right? And here she was, you know, shaking my boss's hand, and I was sitting in his office working on something. And it was the perfect opportunity for me to just say, fuck you, you fake piece of Filipino shit. I know what you were saying the whole time. So good riddance, you know? But I didn't do it. I know to be a bigger person and to be the bigger person, it takes mindfulness, it takes putting aside the emotional satisfaction and doing what's right for the human and humane connection. So that's what I did. I said, hey, good luck in your future endeavors, and kept it short and sweet. Even though inside I wanted to tell her off and bash her kneecap in. And then I thought about it and I realized it was still Blockpunch all over again. When I was a kid doing martial arts, you know, I didn't want to punch or block. I just kind of did both. I didn't want to commit, you know, and in this scenario, it was not wanting to commit to fully being the bigger person, an adult, because even though I did the right gesture at work in front of all the coworkers, I didn't go to the after-hour party, even though people said, hey, you know, there's a farewell for Rochelle. But I also didn't lash out and do the childish thing, which was tell her off. So I didn't do either. I didn't fully commit to either just blowing up at her and facing the consequences and letting the fallout land where it may and cascade where it does and face the repercussions later despite feeling emotionally good about it. Momentarily, by the way, I'll address that later. Or doing the full adult thing and just wishing her well and then going to her farewell party and genuinely being happy for her, even though I know she's spiritually young and a piece of shit. And it was interesting, you know, looking back, because there's been so many times in my life where I thought I wanted something. You know, I wanted to tell somebody off. I wanted a nice car. I wanted you know, my crush in school to like me, and I'd see them in class every week, and later on I had friends who actually dated the person, and they told me the guy was a piece of shit. So it's funny how we think we know what we want, but oftentimes we really don't know what we want. And I did the adult thing, and I didn't do what was emotionally satisfying. But really, if I had told her off, would that really have been emotionally satisfying in the long run? I mean, I probably would have regretted it, and I would have then beat myself up on the other end and said, why am I not a bigger person yet? Why am I still so much of a grudge holder? Why aren't I there yet? Why aren't I more developed? So I just found that very interesting. I wanted to share that with everybody. And it's hard to make the better choice sometimes. And I'm still working on it, like every other human. So this is Natalie Ye, and you can see more of my posts at beyondblockpunch.com. And hope everybody stays warm, and have a good night. Bye-bye.